It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Tuesday, the 10th of September. I'm Michael Groff. We continue with dry conditions, temperatures well above average today, tomorrow, and to some extent into Thursday, although that will mark the beginning of a pattern change here across the Southwest, with troughing coming into the Pacific Northwest, the Great Basin, and through the Intermountain West. We will see continued dry air, but temperatures coming down by late this week. And as we get into this weekend, there is a possibility that our long stretch of afternoon highs at or above 100 degrees will finally come to an end. And on top of that, there's the bonus chance of at least some precipitation here across the Southwest, although that still remains at somewhat of an uncertainty. Of course, there's questions, and when there are questions, we try to find answers here on this video, and that's just what we're going to do as we dive on in. First, the almanac from yesterday. Oh yeah, it was another day with a high temperature of 110 degrees, that morning low of 85, 103 and 81 are the averages for this time of year. And with that, that was 60 days now on the year with a high at or above 110, 106 consecutive days with a high at or above 100. And so we're just tacking on to those records. All right. Outside now here at 9 a.m., we've got sunny sky. We've got 91 degrees at Sky Harbor, dew point 36, humidity 14%, a light wind and the barometer steady. The upper level weather pattern across the nation right now shows, of course, high pressure still in control here across the Southwest, although the upper heights at 500 millibars continue to drop ever so slowly. But unfortunately, you're not really going to feel that because the air is just so dry. The sun is still very efficient at heating the ground because of the low soil moisture. And of course, as the ground heats, that heats the air. And that dry air still heats very efficiently, even here in the month of September. So we will see another very toasty day today and even into tomorrow. But with a trough developing over the Pacific Northwest, the ridge will be displaced, the heights will come down, temperatures will come down, and we'll really feel that in the overnight hours too. Also on this map, you can certainly see the developing tropical storm Francine out there over the northwest Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to be the feature to watch in the weather world over the next 36 hours or so. The watch warning map north of us, we've got some red flag warnings and issues with the potential of wildfires, of course, with breezy conditions, low humidity, above average temperatures. The stage is set for all of that. And that's been a concern for much of the summer and now into the early fall season out here in the western United States. And it's still very hot and very dry in many spots. But at least some relief is on the way. Now for the Gulf Coast, we've got hurricane warnings that are up there. For parts of southeast Texas and the coast of Louisiana, and storm surge watches are there. We've got flood watches in some of those same areas. They extend east into parts of South Mississippi as well, and obviously hurricane warnings over the west and northwest Gulf of Mexico. And that is with Francine. We'll give you the particulars on that here in just a sec. Convective outlook for today, there's that marginal risk of severe storms, level 1 out of 5, right there, right along the immediate Gulf Coast of South Louisiana. And obviously the possibility whenever you have a landfalling tropical cyclone of any sort, there could be a few isolated tornadoes. Now, the SPC has colored in the potential of some thunder across northern Arizona today. And while technically speaking, we might see a stray storm or two, they'd be high-based storms that would at best produce some gusty winds and lightning and probably not much in terms of precipitation. Any real threat of storms or any real meaningful threat of rain would be well north of the state today. All right, the tropics and the Atlantic Basin, we're not really going to worry about that wave out there over the central Atlantic. It may develop, it may not. We have lots of time to watch that. Obviously, the big concern is Francine. And Francine is still looking a little bit disorganized, but starting to come together a little bit better. The pressures continue to fall in this system, so we do anticipate this becoming a hurricane today. And how much intensification still remains to be seen, but it is going to encounter somewhat drier air as it nears the coast. So that rapid intensification process that we often worry about with these Gulf storms may not be quite as significant due to that factor. There's some mitigating circumstances here, but still, obviously, anytime you've got a landfalling hurricane, even if it is just a Category 1, so to speak, or a low-end Category 2, that can still do a lot of damage. And there's the particulars on Francine. Top wind 65 miles per hour. The pressure does continue to come down. The track really hasn't changed a whole lot. A very, very, very slight shift back to the east. It's kind of been wobbling back and forth here, but somewhere between Morgan City and New Orleans, expected landfall. And it looks like the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center brings this in as a Category 2 storm. The model guidance on this has it more in the Category 1 territory. And I thought I had the intensity guidance here, but I guess I don't. In the East Pacific, now this is kind of germane to our forecast. There is a wave out there off the Mexican coast. We're going to watch how that progresses because it may move up the west coast of Mexico or into the Baja or the southern Gulf of California in the next few days. And with a trough approaching the west coast, that may draw some of that moisture northward. And obviously, we're going to get into that with modeling. The precipitation outlook, this is valid through Tuesday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix generally at or under 1/10 of an inch. We could see a little bit more along the international border and some of the higher terrain areas just east of Phoenix. But at least there is a possibility for some precipitation across the state, and we could desperately use it after the incredibly dry monsoon season that we had. Now, keep in mind, this precipitation is not really a classic monsoon pattern. Now, it will be counted in the monsoon total, whatever we get, because technically we are still in the, quote, monsoon season, which the National Weather Service defines as between June 15th and September 30th. But by no means is this really a monsoon pattern. And we're going to get into that in more detail right now as we explore the models, take a look at things, how the future may look. Here we go. The GFS, the 06Z run valid at 2 o'clock this afternoon. High pressure is slowly weakening out here across the southwest, and troughing is beginning to develop along the Pacific Northwest coast. There's Francine over the northwest Gulf of Mexico. What it all means for us down at the surface for the rest of the day today. How about sunny? How about very hot? How about high temperatures, 106 to 110? Question is, will this be the last day we have a high temperature at or above 110 here in Phoenix? It is looking that way, although we could be very close to that again tomorrow. But either way, I think today or tomorrow will be it for the year 2024. And that is a beat we can all dance to. All right, there might be a storm someplace across northern Arizona, according to the SPC, but the GFS keeps things pretty dry. For tonight, clear sky, overnight lows, mid-70s for the cooler valley spots. In fact, I think a good portion of the valley gets down in the 70s. The exception, central Phoenix, downtown, the center of the urban heat island, low 80s there. And then tomorrow, it's really more the same. Sunny, hot, highs 105 to 109. Again, we'll shave a degree, maybe 2 degrees off the afternoon highs. Troughing continues to develop over the Pacific Northwest, and we'll see some rain up that way, but nothing around here. As we go to Thursday, that trough continues to progress through the western states, and the upper heights are coming down, and as that occurs, we'll see breezy conditions developing here across Arizona, maybe a bit more windy for the northern part of the state, and certainly as you get closer to the Great Basin, across Utah, and obviously with you see that precipitation across Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, windy, much cooler, and some precipitation up there. But for us, no precipitation, but temperatures are going to start to come down. We'll feel at least some of the effects of that trough. And again, highs are only going to back off on 2, maybe 3 more degrees, with highs around 102 to 106 for Thursday, at least here in Phoenix, maybe slightly cooler further west over the deserts of southeast California. But any lowering of the afternoon highs is good, and we're going to see that continued cooling trend as we go to Friday. Highs around 100 to 104, the sky sunny, the air dry. And another thing that's starting to happen is we're going to see some moisture begin to get drawn northward out of Mexico towards southern Arizona, but this is not really related to a subtropical high, a monsoon setup, more an impact of Pacific troughing, broad troughing that's going to be developing out here across the west in coming days. And that should help to advect some moisture northward. Here's Saturday. We'll see some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms developing, especially across northwest Mexico, along the international border, parts of southern Arizona, mainly to the south of Phoenix, I think, through the day. And again, just some isolated to widely scattered showers. But by Saturday night, there could just be enough moisture moving in for a stray shower or storm to get into the valley. We'll introduce a slight chance of storms in here by Saturday night. High temperatures on Saturday continue to lower. As the upper heights fall off further, we'll see an increase in moisture and clouds, and that should help to further mitigate high temperatures. So highs probably in the upper 90s to near 100. We probably still make the century mark on Saturday, but Sunday might be a different story. Again, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms across a fair portion of the state, mainly the higher terrain, but a few storms are possible here in the lower deserts. And depending on cloud cover and humidity levels, and if we do in fact see some precipitation, it is possible that we could stay under 100 degrees on Sunday. We could break our streak here this weekend. Now, don't be surprised if we still manage to make it to 100. It just is going to depend on how this plays out. But clearly, we will see lower afternoon high temperatures closer to seasonal averages. And then Monday, signs are pointing toward more active weather. Now, the GFS continues to show broader troughing coming into the western states, more of a transitional type event with some deeper moisture being drawn northward. There's a hint, again, on the GFS of a tropical cyclone down there in the southern Gulf of California and some of that moisture getting drawn northward. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to lean into that scenario too hard. Whether there's a tropical cyclone down there or not, there's still going to be at least some moisture drawn up here. Obviously, a tropical cyclone would help further, but we just see kind of the GFS flip-flopping on that. The European, same thing. Some runs show it, some don't. Some members of the ensemble depict that happening, some do not. Either way, for now, we'll go on the conservative side and at least bring in a continued slight chance of showers and storms. I think the storms will be a bit more scattered for us on Monday. And so we bumped the rain chances up a little bit into the 30% bracket around here, and high temperatures. Again, we may not make 100. Highs mid-90s to around 100. All right, here's a week from today, Tuesday the 17th, and you can see broad troughing. Troughing is now the dominant feature out here across the western states. The heights are below average, and that should mean temperatures below average. The average high on the 17th of September in Phoenix is 100. And I think there's a pretty decent chance we stay below that. The GFS actually is printing out a high of 88 on Tuesday, and I don't think that's going to happen, but highs probably closer to the mid-90s would be fairly realistic in this pattern. Now, with the trough being in that position and the main axis of that initial wave passing us by, we'd be dry, more of a westerly flow, but that would not be a bad day. Look, on the 17th of September, if you're only up in the mid-90s, obviously, and then once the sun goes down to dry air, it'll feel pretty good. Lows will be down in the 70s, and I would suspect some spots will be down in the 60s at night. So next week is not looking bad weather-wise, again, relative for this time of year. I know it's weird to rejoice about highs in the 90s, but hey, after this, the hottest summer on record here in Phoenix, we will absolutely take that. Now, going out 10 days, this is Thursday, the 19th of September. And again, troughing continues out here in the west, mainly north of Arizona, but dry west-northwesterly flow, heights below average, temperatures below average. Again, if this works out, highs would be in the 90s. Overnight lows, 60s, and maybe low to mid-70s in the urban core. I mean, this could be some of the coolest weather we've had since mid to late May. Sounds good to me. All right, looking at rainfall for Phoenix off the GFS ensemble out through the 24th of September. Now, okay, the control member is way up there over an inch and a half, up toward an inch and 3/4. The ensemble means about a half an inch. There are a few members that really get into this idea of a tropical system, either in part or in full, moving on up into the southwestern United States. I think we can keep that scenario off the table. But some moisture from a tropical cyclone or could be drawn up here, or just some moisture in general, tropical cyclone or not. And that's why the GFS favors a wetter solution. The European is kind of kind of drier once again. But it's flip-flopped. It was the wetter solution a couple of days ago, and several runs were much wetter, and now it's a little bit drier, and I guess we're just going to have to see as we get closer to this. This is one of those still very much in flux kind of patterns. But the message here is cooler temperatures and at least some chance of precipitation. We'll take it. And temperatures off the national blend of models. And again, the idea is lower temperatures. Yeah, obviously, we're very hot today, tomorrow, Thursday. But then as we get toward Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you can see next week, it looks like highs are going to be mostly in the 90s. And some models are more toward the low 90s. Again, like I mentioned, the deterministic GFS, the 06Z GFS has a high of 88 on Tuesday. That's too low, I think, but you get the idea. Cooler temperatures are coming in here. Below average temperatures are coming in here. That sounds great. We'll take it. Just a few more days to go, folks. And that's going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here tomorrow morning. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, then be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you really like what we do here, then click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. Make those monetary contributions, $2, $5, $5,000. It all helps in the furtherance of this channel. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my one and only, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona. Talking about my Michelle, check her out. Check out her videos. Check out everything Michelle related that is linked up down in the description. And our streaming station, that's also linked up down in the description. It's available 24/7, 365. What is it called? It is KMGX. And what do we do there? We play a ton of music. It is the most chaotic, the most eclectic mix of music anywhere. And it's a lot of fun. So give that a listen. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, all of your continued support. It is immensely appreciated. Please be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there, and you guys have yourselves a beautiful rest of your Tuesday.